Welcome back here to Yahoo Sports. I'm Vincent Goodwill here with Basketball Hall of Famer, basketball lifer Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk is promoting his new book, The Great Nowitzki, Basketball and the Meaning of Life. Dirk, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks,
I'm curious, as one of the most beloved figures in basketball, what made you decide to take part in a book? Most guys wait a little bit. You've kind of come a few years after retirement.
Yeah, so actually this book has been out in Germany for a couple of years. Now it's just hitting the American market. We just had it translated. So the book came out in Germany about two and a half years ago. And it kind of captured, the writer came up to me with the idea right after we won the championship. And he wanted to kind of follow me through the last couple of years of my career. And I said, sure, there shouldn't be that much left. I was already 33 at the time, 34. We had no idea, obviously, that I was going to play 6, 7, 8 more years after that. And then he's like, well, I don't want to write the book now. And then you're still playing. So he literally followed me for the last 7, 8 years of my career and was sort of part of my entourage, part of my crew, over these years, and capturing some of the cool milestones I got at the end, and some of the traveling he did with me, some of the promotional tours. So he was just part of my crew at the last couple of years, and then once I retired, then he finished the book, and then it came out in German first, and now it's hitting the American market. So it's a fun little book about how he saw how my life looks from the outside. So it's not really a biography. It's him writing this book out of his view and all that stuff that he saw and how the people in my circle that he interviewed. So it's a nice little story about what it takes to be in an NBA life, I guess. So it's a neat little story.
That's a vulnerable thing, to take part in, to allow someone to be part of your crew. Like, newsflash, Dirk Nowitzki has a crew. So we're stereotyping, we're breaking stereotypes here. We never pictured Dirk Nowitzki to have a crew or some or a posse.
Yeah, well, my crew might look a little different than somebody else's crew, but it was like, my family or my coach Holger who's been around, and some friends maybe. So I always kept like a small crew of friends around me anyways. And then the writer Thomas, was always there and was part of it, was always traveling with us on the road. Sometimes came to like all my foundation events in the summer. And so he just literally took part in my life the last 7, 8 years of my career. And I think he did a good job kind of capturing it all and putting it in all these pages.
Well, it was funny, though, because I was looking at your basketball reference page just to get like a refresher. And I was looking at your 3-point numbers, and I was like, Dirk didn't take a lot of threes. It felt like you did back then, but compared to today's game, you didn't. If we dropped 20-year-old Dirk Nowitzki in today's game, how much better, how different, does your career look? Because you were a completely different archetype in 1998, 99 when you came into the league.
Yeah, so I think I shot a lot of threes at the beginning with under Don Nelson, who was, a mismatch guy, and he had this philosophy, and already he was different coaching then. And then I shot a lot of threes late, under coach, and I couldn't move that much anymore, and I shot a lot of threes. But there was a stretch from when we had Avery as a coach, who wanted me to more like Tim Duncan type player. And get better with my back to the basket game and really exploit mismatches. And so there was a long stretch, I would say almost, 10 years in the middle of my career where it was a lot of mid-range, a lot of posting up around the high post area, a lot of posting up around the mid post, and really shooting over defenders. And so that's where I did most of my damage and most of my living. And if I would come in the league now, I think nobody really posts up anymore. Nobody wants to grind tough twos. That you either get a layup or you shoot a three. So it's the game has opened up even more now. It's drive and kick. It's one initial pick and roll, beat your guy, suck in the defender, move the ball. And shoot threes, and so that would play obviously right in my hands. I would love to to play in that era now. It's everything is wide open, and scoring is up, and it's a fun way to play. But I like being part of the late 90s, early 2000s when the game just started to change. They were getting rid of the hand check. They were putting the zone in, and teams were now forced to not just isolate on the wing all the time. Now the teams are forced to play a passing game, a movement game, have 5 guys touching the ball, and pick and roll more. And so I think that was fun for me to go through that phase where the game was about to change.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you touched the tail end of like the Michael Jordan era, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and then you played through, the Kobe Bryants, the LeBron Jameses who's still playing. You're almost like, it's almost like you literally touch every facet of modern NBA basketball, essentially. Even to, the Luka Doncic. I guess either that means you're old or you're really good. Either way,
honestly,
it working out for you.
It meant I was around a long time. 21 freaking years, right? So that means I played still against MJ when he came back with the Wizards, and then my last year I played with Luka, and so I covered over 2 decades. So I've seen a lot of players, a lot of greatness, and I've competed against the best. And so it's definitely been a fun ride, and to get it all to do it in one franchise in Dallas was amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny because you talked about playing against some of the greats. That 2011 playoff run, you guys beat Kobe. You swept the 2-time champion Lakers, embarrassed them. You then beat the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Oklahoma City Thunder. And then you beat the Heatles, the Miami Heat. Can you name a better championship playoff run that a player has ran through so many superstars in like a month span?
We had a pretty special run, I got to say. We were a special crew that year, and with a bunch of veteran guys that love playing with each other. And you get lucky, of course, a little bit here and there, but we had a good crew. Of course, we were a little fortunate. I think the Thunder were still very young, and they quite hadn't figured out how that really works. The next year we faced them again in the playoffs, and they swept us. So same with Miami. This was their first year together. I don't think they had figured out all the roles yet on when to attack, who's taking what shot, and they got better the longer they stayed together. Year 2 and year 3, you saw the championship when they won, and so we were a little fortunate there on some timing stuff. But hey, I don't want to take anything away from our team and how we performed there, and we're able to bring a championship, a basketball championship that we've never had in Dallas. It was a special time for us.
I was going to say, like, looking back from 2007 to where you punched the wall and signed the wall, like, that's a pretty gangster thing, honestly, Dirk. But Did you change, or did we change from how we viewed you from that point to you winning the championship? Did you become a different player, or did we change in how we viewed you?
I always say I had to go through these tough times and through these disappointments to come out on top in 2011. It of course shaped me, it formed me, it pushed me to work hard and become a better player and become, a mental, the closer that I wanted to be in 2011 to have that poise and that experience to win those big games. And it took me those disappointments in 06 and 07 and every year in the playoffs we fell short. It took all that to come up on top in 2011. And I think, of course, that winning it all helped change my reputation from, hey, that's the guy who's really good player, but he's not going to take your team to the top, to the guy who actually now was able to finish the job. And of course, that helped me. And, it helped me. It almost took like a weight off my shoulder. I was super proud of that moment that we did that together. And so a little bit of everything, I think the perception after that was definitely changed from a guy that's a little too soft, good player to actually a good player who can win it all.
what did you think of that soft label? Did you think that was it based off of a stereotype about you being a European player? Was it about a style thing? How did you take that?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. I think it's normal. There weren't that many European players in the league when I first came, and of course I was skinny. I was a jump shooter as a 7-footer, so automatically that's perceived as soft. And I've never really changed into a tough physical player. I mean, I like to think I was mentally tough, but it's not like I was out there elbowing cats and, on the rebound. It's just not my style, but I wanted to be tough in my own way. In my style of playing, I wanted to be tough. But that didn't mean like skying over the rim and dunking. That was just not my way of play. So I had to find my own way to be tough. But I do remember the stereotypes at the beginning. Like I'd be guarding somebody on the wing in front of the opposing bench, and all I hear from the bench is like, "Go at him, he's soft." And it was cool. It was for me, the whole trash talking. It was new, and it was something I had to get used to and fight back. And it motivated me to fill up my body, get stronger, and get a little better on defense and compete a little harder. And so those are the good old days, man. People would come at me and try to intimidate me. And I always remember KG always came up to me like this close, nose to nose, would follow me and try to intimidate me. And those were fun times to kind of go through that and try to establish yourself as a scorer and a leader. And so those were good times to compete against the best of the best. And as you know, at the power forward position in early 2000s, whether you went to, you go to Sacramento, you see Chris Webber. You go to Portland, you see Rasheed Wallace. You go to Minnesota, you see KG. You go to Utah, there's still Karl Malone. And you go whatever, there's Zach Randolph. And it's just the power forward position was loaded, and every night you had to bring it. And of course, that made me also a better player. I didn't even talk about Tim Duncan yet in San Antonio. Right. So the West was stacked every night, and I had to compete. And I think that made me a better player.
Wait, so who said the craziest thing to you, trash talk wise? Was it Kevin Garnett? What was the craziest thing someone said to you that made you say, "Come on, man, seriously"?
Yeah, I mean, KG was definitely a very intense guy, and he tried to intimidate you, and especially when I first got there in the league and we were just getting good. But he tried to push you around a little bit and let you know, hey, this is my spot here, and so I mean, I can't really remember what was said back and forth, but he was just like, he was trying to bully you a little bit and push you around a little bit, pick you up. Sometimes I would walk out of a timeout, and there he already left his huddle early, and he was standing there following me around the whole way, just trying to be in my way and push me, not letting me walk to where I want to walk to. And I mean, KG, I admire him for his energy, for his just his drive, his competitiveness, and so I always had great battles with KG.
No, the Western Conference was a murderer's row. There were no days off.
It was fun. It was fun to compete at the highest level every night.
Absolutely, and I think about you having two teammates that are now coaches, Steve Nash and Jason Kidd. Now, when you were playing with them, did you see Coach in either of them when they were playing with you, or did you just see them as teammate? Like, how surprised were you when Steve became a coach? Because that seemed to have come out of nowhere.
For sure, and I didn't see that one coming. I know they're both super smart. I know they had wicked basketball IQ. I knew Jay Kidd wanted to be a coach. I played with him at the end of my career.
Yep.
So I can already see how he handled himself in coaches' meetings or meetings with the team, how he would analyze the game. I knew coaching was in his future, and it was something that he actually wanted to do. So I saw that coming. Steve came out of nowhere. I gotta say, I obviously know that he was super smart and he was a great leader. While I played with him already, super positive always and always supportive. But I didn't think that he wanted to do that grind and start traveling again and being part of that whole circus. So I'm happy for him that he wanted to do that. I wanted to try that step, and I think he's enjoying the challenge, even though, as you know, the last 2 years with the whole with COVID and
Yep.
and everything on top, and now some of the personnel that they had going the last 2 years, I'm sure it's been a lot on him, but I think he's enjoying the challenge, and I'm happy for him.
Picture Dirk Nowitzki playing with Kyrie Irving. I'll leave that to your own devices.
Yeah.
But
would have been interesting.
Yeah, but one thing I did find really interesting, because I remember when you and Steve played together, and Steve left for Phoenix in free agency, and you two were a pretty potent duo. But when he left, you both got better. He became an MVP. Your numbers went through the roof after already being, you know, a top 5 player. What do you attribute that to? Because that's kind of an odd situation.
It was an odd situation. I think we were both in Dallas, you know, playing so well together, and with Michael Finley, and we kind of shared that responsibility. And then once we all went our separate ways, it was kind of like, okay, well, now we need to step up. You know, I always had Steve and Mike to kind of hide behind at the end of games or whatever. They were taking the big shots, and all of a sudden everybody's gone. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm the guy. I'm the franchise guy now. Everybody's looking to you. And so I had to take my game to another level. I had to become the closer and you know, work on my craft to get even better. And I think the same with Steve. All of a sudden, you know, he was there in Phoenix, and he was the motor of that whole engine, you know, running around, getting passes, getting everybody in, running multiple pick and rolls sometimes in one possession. And I just think we both had to improve, had to get better. And we did that away from each other. So I always like to think, I sometimes think back, what if Steve would have stayed? Would we have won a championship? I'd like to think so there in 05, 06, 07. I think those years were open if we would have stayed together for us to get one. But, you know, it's all hypothetical, right? Nobody knows. It worked out for the best, I think, for both of our careers. To go separate ways and develop even better and be franchise players. So it ended up working out for all of us.
It worked out for you. He didn't win a championship.
But yeah, I mean, he had a fantastic career and had, I mean, back-to-back MVPs. I mean, he had an amazing run. And sometimes I feel bad for him. I think they deserved a ring. What they did there for basketball, and they changed the style, and they were so fun to watch. You know, one time we beat them, obviously, in 06, and they always ran into the Spurs there, who were obviously on top of their game with Timmy D and Manu and Tony. And so it's just the West was just tough to get out of there. But to me, I mean, I sort of feel sad that I think what they did there in Phoenix for those years, I think they would have deserved a chip.
Absolutely. And thinking about it, you mentioned it when he left and when Finley left, you were the lone superstar. So you're in the 2011 finals, and Dwyane Wade and LeBron are walking in. I think it's before game 4 or before game 5, and they're coughing. They're mocking coughing. You're the one superstar there. You don't have anybody to walk in with and mock them, you know, and put your fingers up, not 5, not 6, not 7. Tell me what that was like for you when you saw that, because I know you had to see it before the game.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it actually after game 5, because it happened, I guess, after shoot around of game 5, but I didn't see it before that game. And we won game 5 at home. So we were up 3-2 going back to Miami, and that's when I saw it. And honestly, I just felt like it was a little disrespectful, but it didn't add to my motivation, if that makes sense. I'm one game away from achieving my dream, something I chased for the last 10, 12 years in the league. And so I think we even address it as a team. Hey, let's not focus on this too much. Let's stay locked in on what we want to do. We want to come here. We have to win a road game against a great team in a tough environment. Let's focus on that. And that's why in the press conference on the day of game 6, I felt what I said. I said, I felt a little disrespected, and that's really it. I'll leave it at that. It didn't add any extra motivation, and we wanted to win game 6 to achieve our dream. So that was that, and the rest was history.
So the satisfaction of winning game 6, the satisfaction of winning in Miami, beating that team, where does your relationship with Dwyane Wade stand now? You're both in your 40s. You can't do anything on the floor anymore. Like, when you see each other, what's the energy like?
Well, we just did the All-Star game together. He was doing the broadcasting, and I hopped on the broadcast for a couple of minutes, and I think we're totally fine. I think there was some stuff said after the '06 finals on both sides that weren't appreciated by the other side. So there were there were a little frosty times, but honestly, I think we're way past that. I think it's also normal. Not every competitor can be friends, right? I mean, it's just not how it works.
Are you sure? Have you seen today's NBA?
Yeah,
Everybody's
just,
friends.
I'm old school. But I think what is there now is a mutual respect for each other's careers and what we have done as players, and so we're fine. We're totally fine. We talk now and we see each other and we move on. So I think these days are way past us, and like I said, both the mutual respect is definitely there.
Absolutely, and it's funny because you say that there's no. You almost hinted at it. There's not a whole lot of rivalries anymore. Players are moving around a lot. They're ganging up with each other. They're asking out of their situations, everything else. Is the game missing that competitive hatred? Do you think from the outside looking in, do you miss a little bit of that bad blood, a little bit of KG being in your face, following you up and down the floor? Do you miss that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's old school. I mean, I don't really want to judge and say now the game is that different and it was better then. I don't want to be that guy, that retired guy who says, it was better back then. I enjoyed our rivalries. I remember that we used to hate the Spurs. We used to see them every year in the playoffs. I couldn't stand any of them. We didn't like going down there, and so we had that rivalry with them, and maybe that's missing a little bit today. But times changed, the games changed. The players have a little more power now than they used to have, which is a good thing, of course, that the players now have more input. So. I don't want to sit here and say things were better when I played. I'm not that guy.
I'll say it. Don't worry about it, Dirk. I'll say it. But even in mentioning quote unquote player empowerment, superstar empowerment, you were a one-team star. You stayed with one franchise throughout your entire career. And not saying let's put Dirk in 20-year-old Dirk now and go through your career, but was there ever a time in your career where you were like, man, I've given it my all here. Maybe it's time that I should go somewhere else. Do I team up with another superstar, another older player? Did you ever consider that? Because I don't remember you going through free agency, and really considering other teams. But was there ever a point where you thought about going to Mark Cuban and saying, hey, we've had a great run. Maybe we should try something different?
Well, the only reason for me to leave would have been if we wouldn't have had a championship, and I would have had to, chase the ring maybe somewhere at the end of my career. But fortunately for me, I never really had to be in that position. When I was a free agent in 2010, I met with Mark, and we talked, and we both got emotional about how the ride went, and we said, okay, let's sign for 4 more years, and we won the championship in the year 1 of my 4-year deal. So after that, to me, it was clear I'm going to finish my career in Dallas. It's the loyalty that I got from Mark and from the fans, and when I first got there, and how they supported me, how the community embraced me. I always wanted to pay that loyalty back. So once we had won the championship, I think all that doubt that I was going to go anywhere, of course, went away. I wanted to finish my career in Dallas. I was comfortable. My family was comfortable, and that's my new home. So that would have been really the only way to look at something else if we wouldn't have won a championship.
I mean, it's 5 years in between 06 and 11. In 07, you get knocked out by Golden State. The year you win MVP, you've talked at length about how that changed you, but there were years after that too. So did that doubt ever creep in your mind that it might not happen here before 2011?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal that doubt creeps in. Especially 06, we were in the finals. 07, we won almost 70 games. We feel like we're right there. And then actually, we feel like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm in my prime. We're going to go back to the finals every year, right? That's how I felt. That's how I felt in my head. And then all of a sudden, we actually take steps back. And 08 was tough. And then 09, I think we lose in the second round. And so things were actually regressing. So I think it's normal to say, am I ever going to getting back on that stage again where we're going to play for a championship? And so when 11 rolled around and we get to the finals, it's like, I appreciated the fact that we hadn't been that good the last couple of years. And I was looking at this might be our last chance, that we might never get back here again. And so that's, I think, how our whole team looked at it, with a bunch of veterans who are older, who have done great stuff individually in this league, but all of them had never won it all. So I think that factored in. It factored in our closeness of the team and our chemistry, and that we all wanted to win so bad, and we put our egos to the side. So I think we understood the moment, how big this moment was for us. That might be our last time to be on the stage. So we went for it, and we were able to get it.
Now, I'm going to have some fun with you, because I remember you walking into the arena with the tinfoil. And you had the tinfoil, like the food, before every home game for a period of time. Did you realize that you were becoming a huge phenomenon with Black people around that time? Did you realize that you had opened up a gateway to being embraced by the Black community with the tinfoil dinner every night?
I saw all the memes and on Twitter and whatever, and I'm allowed to every barbecue. I'm invited and all that. So that made me laugh, of course. It was just I wanted to eat healthy, and so I was basically bringing my own food, because I didn't know what the catered stuff was made out of, what they used to. And at least when I brought my own stuff, I knew exactly what it was made of, what my body needed. So that was obviously blown a little bit out of proportion. It was just that I wanted to eat healthy. I wanted to know what was in my food. And that's why I always brought my own meals, especially the last, couple of years of my career. So, but hey, I'll take those barbecue invites. That's awesome.
Got one last question, and you can't name Luka Doncic. A superstar from today that you would love to play with, a prime Dirk. Who would prime Dirk love to play with today?
Oh man, I mean, I'm a fan of the game. I love what Steph's doing. I mean, unbelievable. To me, KD is one of the best scorers this league has ever seen at his size, what he's able to do. I mean, obviously LeBron playing for 20 years and the level that he still plays at. So, I mean, it's tough to name one guy. The league is in great hands with great young superstars. Giannis being back-to-back MVPs. I mean, that'll be fun to play with a force like that. So, I mean,
I was thinking Giannis. I was thinking Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, he is a beast, and I love his game. But yeah, it's tough to say. There are so many great superstars out there, and I think the league is in great hands.
Dirk, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Dirk Nowitzki, the book, The Great Nowitzki, Basketball and the Meaning of Life. It's out here in America now. It's been out in Germany for a couple of years. Thanks for the translation. We're gonna all read it, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for helping out.